So the failure to get an agreement was the focus yesterday in terms of October 7 and commemorating that. Was there not some way to include a call for a ceasefire? And there is some complication around that because Israel says Hamas and Hezbollah can't just rebuild, build up their munitions or whatever or capability. But ultimately, that's what everyone wants to happen in the end, isn't it? That there's not so much peace in the Middle East, but more peace than there is right now.
But for a motion that was specifically about October 7, I think that there was a perfect opportunity to demonstrate our support for Jewish Australians and also for our ally Israel. This is not a time, it was not a time to put conditions and equivocations into a motion.
Did the coalition say, could you split them up? We'll do this one, and if you do the other one, we won't blow up too much?
Well, Peter Dutton went to the Prime Minister in advance of that motion and said he wanted to see a bipartisan motion put forward. He wanted to see the entire Parliament come together. It was the Prime Minister's choice not to take that option, and he did so for political purposes. I think that's pretty despicable.
Small businesses struggling, so 11,000 insolvencies in the past 12 months, and 46% not making a profit is probably something that leaps off the page more to me, not to downplay the ones going bust. The small business lobby says we need policies. Is the coalition going to take some? Are you talking to them, meeting with them today? Because COSBOA's in the building, as they say.
There's a number of groups in the building today that are specifically talking about business conditions in Australia, which have progressively worsened over the last 2 years. In fact, there's now, I think, the highest number of insolvencies per quarter under this government than any government previously, around 2,500 or so insolvencies per quarter, 22,800 just in this term of government. The irony that this government could say that they are the party of small business, that's just deluded. Between high energy prices, industrial relations laws that are tying them up in knots, red tape, green tape and high taxes.
So IR will be a difference. What about energy prices? And I mean short term. I don't want to hear nuclear because it's not going to change anything by July 1 next year. On July 1, will there have to be an extension of the rebate on energy prices? Otherwise, more businesses will go to the wall. Is that something you're looking at?
The only thing we can do, and the only thing that businesses are asking us to do, is ensure that there is more reliable energy in the system, and that has to come from gas.
But you can't do that. If there's an election in May, you can't sort that out by July. It's just not possible.
Well, I'm afraid that there has been problems with putting more gas into the system because of the decisions that this government has made, and that's why we're 2 years behind.
There's a lot of state issues there as well, but the point again is if you come to power in May, saying let's get more gas will not help anyone by July.
Energy subsidies are simply putting a band-aid on a bullet hole. So they are not going to help businesses.
You're ruling out extending them?
Well,
is that what you're saying?
I haven't even considered that issue. What I can say, though, is that Bill Shorten himself said in front of me, in front of the cameras, that those subsidies for businesses, for energy, did not even touch the sides. And businesses are telling us the same thing. Subsidies aren't what they're looking for.
They're saying they don't want...
They want energy prices to come down.
They don't want the energy price. But in the short term, they're saying we don't want the subsidy extended until...
They want energy prices to come down sustainably so that their businesses can run sustainably. They can't simply run on government subsidies for forever.
So
the most important thing is
no
to
extension
more
of that
supply
subsidy?
into the system.
Is that the sort of default?
More supply into the system.
Is that the default coalition
It's never been
position?
a coalition policy to have subsidies for energy. What we want to see is more supply into the system that will sustainably bring prices down.
So your policy at the moment would not, that you would not extend that?
Well, ironically, Labor's policy is theoretically is more gas too. They just don't don't follow through on it. Their gas policy has been shelved already. We want to see more gas into the system because that's the only way that you're going to reliably bring prices down over the
But again, on that short-term
term.
question, you're saying you will not, emphatically not extend that subsidy beyond when it goes.
Subsidies for energy have never been coalition policy, and businesses have said they haven't worked, they haven't touched the sides, they need something more sustainable.
Quickly on NBN, Labor says they're going to legislate to avoid it being sold off. What are you going to do there?
This is extraordinary. I mean, this has come out of nowhere. It's a solution looking for a problem, I think. The coalition haven't said that they intended to privatise the NBN.
But that was the plan for the NBN originally, wasn't it?
It was Labor's plan for the NBN. Labor's plan for the NBN was that it would return a dividend by the 2020s and then eventually it would be privatised. Now they seem to have changed their minds, but this has come out of nowhere. They've brought it on for debate in the House this morning.
You feeling a wedge?
We haven't even seen the
wedge.
Well, isn't it amazing that you would bring it on early, just before the Prime Minister jets off overseas?
So what will you do?
Minutes before. Well, I haven't even seen the legislation yet, and I am a shadow
But it's pretty simple.
shareholder.
Don't sell off the NBN. Would you
No,
agree
it's
with
not that simple, actually. There's a whole series of steps in the legislation already that would prevent a knee-jerk sale of the NBN. A whole bunch of safeguards that were put there by Labor, put there by Stephen Conroy. And the Labor Party now wants to take those safeguards away. This is something that I simply do not understand. Now, I'm being briefed on this today, but they've brought the legislation on for debate before briefing the ministers, the shadow ministers.
All right.
That's unheard of. That is a political stunt.
We like detail in this program, so I suppose I'll let you off by saying we'll wait till you've got the detail and then we'll get your position, I'm sure.
I'm sure you will.
Jane Hume, thank you.